marks 2 weeks until the opening of the Pittsburgh Baseball Club's 144th season. It'll be March 27 in Miami. That'll also mark, of course, the first time that we see, hear, or read about Derek Shelton's lineup card. Good morning to you. And on that depressing note, good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins that I hope you'll also check out. The Pirates were off yesterday in Bradenton, Florida. They'll resume Grapefruit League play this afternoon against the Twins in Fort Myers. And it's safe to a degree to start looking for clues based on Shelton's first 5 seasons as manager. As spring is winding down, he'll start putting guys into the slots where he's pretty sure they'll end up for the real games. Why are they not there all along? A bunch of reasons for it, not least of which is there's certain players that they want to get a longer look at or more at-bats from, or just to see how they respond, for example, at being leadoff or number 3 or cleanup. But I feel as if there's enough there from the spring and, of course, from various big league histories of these players to let's have some fun today, okay? As much fun as it can be, being, reasonably confident that this team is not going to hit anywhere near as well as it'll have to compete even, I think, never mind contend. I'm going to start it off with a surprise. In fact, it's going to be the only selection out of the 9 that I'll make based on the actual ongoing spring. And that's to have, and here comes a slash as a total cop-out, either Jack Suwinski or Ji-Hwan Bae at leadoff. Now, I know everybody's written Bae off, and I get that. He's aware of that. We had a talk about that earlier in the spring. But he leads the team in hits this spring with 10. He's batting .455 with a .487 on base. Now, I know I'm the one who says it more often than anybody, spring stats. But I also know that Bae has exhibited this specific trait, getting on base, at various points in his professional career and sometimes even in Pittsburgh. He hasn't sustained that in the majors. And in 2024, of course, he nosedived well below 200. But if spring performance means anything at all, if what you're doing in front of management, right there before their eyes, means anything at all, he'll at least make the team. And if he makes the team, one thing that you will see managers do is try to carry over somebody who's having a sizzling, crazy spring into at least the first week or two of the regular season. If it isn't Bae, it might be Jack Suwinski, who's almost as unexpected here. But Jack's been put at leadoff pretty much all spring. And Jack's batting .400, and Jack's running the bases just as well as Bae is. And Jack's not wholly looking like the all-or-nothing hitter that he's been. There's been some pop, there's been some line drives, and yeah, of course, there's been some strikeouts. Anyway, that's my one. The rest of it is not all that tough to do. Batting second, obviously, is going to be Brian Reynolds. The analytics show that's where you want your best hitter. He's your best hitter. Third, I've got O'Neal Cruz. Now, there's long been a thought that Cruz just feels more comfortable when he's at leadoff. So that can't be ruled out. He's too important to not do right by. But, if I'm the manager, and be grateful, by the way, that I'm not, and I look at this lineup and how many home runs I'm thinking I'm going to get out of it, and I can't be wasting those on solo shots. I'm sorry. So I would have a good talk with the young man, and I would write him in at 3. The hardest one for me to project in this whole lineup, maybe for obvious reasons, was cleanup. There's just not a player that profiles that way. No matter what school, what philosophy you subscribe to. So I put Joey Bart there. Bart's shown power. Bart's shown enough of it consistently that I feel like he could reasonably be counted on to at least approach 20 home runs and other versions of power and driving in runs. At fifth, I've got Kutch, and I'm not going to lie to you, I had Kutch leading off when I began this exercise, and I ended up moving him down to 5. It's sad, actually, that in the year 2025, Kutch is still going to give you the best at bats of anyone in a lineup. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best hitter. That's going to be Reynolds. But he's going to give you the most professional plate appearances, including, notably, those walks that he now celebrates at least a little bit with that strut and skip toward first base. As it is, Kutch still hit 20 home runs last season on top of all those professional plate appearances, so he can still fit at number 5. He shouldn't at this age and in this year, but hey, I mean, that's to his credit too. At 6, I have Nick Gonzalez. This is a little bit optimistic on my side. I feel like in a real lineup, of a team that's going to be in the pennant race or whatever, Gonzalez would be, 7, 8, maybe even a 9. But in this one, he's a 6. There's some good things that he's been able to do. Again, they haven't been seen often enough, notably the power. It's crazy because he will occasionally show you something with that power where you'll say, wow, I mean, is that always in there? What is that? That was just like an effortless nothing swing, and it went 420 feet or whatever. It's got to show, it's got to play, and it's got to do so every day. 7 is Ke'Bryan Hayes, principally because that's where he's been most of his Pittsburgh career. And yes, I know he's got to stay healthy. He's got to be in there. He's got to be able to pull the ball and all those other asterisks that follow him around. It still felt like 7 was the right spot. 8 would be Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Not really sure what to think about him as a full season shortstop. It doesn't feel like the most inspired decision that management's ever made, but then they're not exactly known for inspired decisions. Kiner-Falefa will give you good, smart work at the plate, but the fact is, before his acquisition by the Pirates from the Blue Jays, he was at an all-time high for offense, and that's never a very comfortable feeling when the next season comes around and you wonder if there's going to be some sort of reversion to the mean. And number 9 is whoever the hell they have at first base. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Frankie, who says, DK, have the tracks jumped the train? Even if Spencer Horwitz didn't have chronic wrist issues, I don't understand trading away Luis Ortiz to swap out essentially for Andrew Heaney, who looks like crap this spring and costs an additional $3.8 million. Even if Horwitz wasn't hurt, there was no plan for a right-handed platoon at first base. Don't get me started on a 37-year-old journeyman as the everyday starter in one of the largest left fields in the sport. Until Ben Cherington goes, this team will suck like usual. That's not acceptable. Frankie's in a bad mood, everybody. The 37-year-old journeyman that he's referring to, obviously, is Tommy Pham. And you want to know something? I detect no lies in anything that Frankie said. I'm not ready to give up on Heaney. Heaney's been really consistent over his career, and being a lefty, I don't know. It just feels like you always worry about them a little less, especially as they get older, because they don't actually age. They just become smarter and more efficient. But I'm going to tell you here, my man, one thing that you threw in that really leaped out at me, because I don't feel like I've considered this singular point often enough. And that's that Horwitz was brought in to be a platoon first baseman. And he was brought in to be a platoon first baseman without another half to that platoon. Now, nobody uses this word in the sport anymore. It's just become, kind of a thing that's unspeakable for whatever reason. Like it's something that you look down on, or a way that you unnecessarily maybe box somebody in to a certain category and don't ever allow them the option to escape. You're a platoon. That's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You're only going to hit against lefties, or you're only going to hit against righties. But when management, including Cherington, including Shelton, make open, obvious references to Horwitz's limitations against lefties, it would stand to reason that as you enter a regular season in which everyone's saying this is the year, not necessarily this is the year for a championship, but this is the year to focus on winning. This is it. We're all about the winning now. And no move was made for half of the first base position. And if they have some sort of, plan B or plan C in this regard, you could make an argument, I guess, that, well, Jared Triolo's been taking some grounders at first. He started doing that last season. Triolo's a Gold Glove utility guy, literally, and he should be able to learn any position. Okay, but Triolo's not exactly a big bat, or even a league average bat for the position, even if he platoons. In all due respect to the various 4A guys they have trying out there, 4A should never be a first option type of solution. Yeah, I mean, I could give the same answer to every question that I get that comes in every day, which is they're not serious and they're not to be taken seriously. I appreciate the question nonetheless. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.